If I hadn't had therapy, I wouldn't be able to walk or talk. And I love my parents, but they were just very, very, very dysfunctional. They probably were mind controlled and MK Ultra. They were in the Masonic Lodge, and there's all kinds of stuff that I have no idea what was going on with those poor people. And I didn't learn about it until they were passed. And my mother died in '97, my dad in '99. And then I met Sasha in '97, and I just went into intensive therapy because my whole life had been very abusive, and I had repressed it, and I had created an alternative reality. When I moved to Oahu, this woman, Angelica, she befriended me, and one day she just sat me down, and she said, who beat you, your mother or your father? And I go, oh, they didn't beat me. Well, yeah, you had to, because you ended up with such an abusive man. My first husband was extremely abusive, and then but he was physically abusive. My second husband was emotionally abusive. He was always hypercritical, and then when I left him, he beat me up then. So, and I kept going from the frying pan into the fire, and so it didn't really hit home until I met Sasha that I had created this alternative reality, that my parents were wonderful. And it's good. I mean, it allowed me to have a relationship with my mother. My mother and I became friends. I think I only really knew my mother for the last 10 years of her life, perhaps, because up until then she was kind of a crazy person acting out whatever had been done to her. So anyway, I think therapy is really important. I differ a little bit with what you said, Karen. You probably have a really good. I get the hard cases. I get the people come to me that have been in satanic rituals or ritually abused, and I worked with them for a long time. That's hard. It's very hard. I'm so glad I have a husband that can do primal therapy with these people, and they go into their core. We've lost some. A couple of them suicided. Sometimes there's not much you can do when they're having that much trauma in their lives, so they kind of have to melt down and do it over. Doing therapy is hard, but every time you do therapy with somebody else, you do another piece of your part. Therapy is not always intensive therapy where you're. We do a gestalt where you beat pillows and do a Mago process. Why did you end up with the person you're with? And they usually reflect unresolved issues with your parents and so on and so forth. But right now I've been doing mostly, hypnosis and a lot of talk therapy because we're remote and so we're not in person. But I guess I could do the same thing. We do something called voice dialogue where you learn how to center, become conscious. So what humans are, we are a mixture of all these sub-personalities. We put on a different hat when we go to work than the one we wear when we're a lover in bed or when we're taking care of the children. So we have all these sub-personalities and alters. And our government's aware of our alters, and so some of them, I shouldn't say our government, but a fraction of our government have used that system to split people into their sub-personalities, and then they're not aware of what's going on, and so they act out things. So I would love somehow that our society would start doing therapy, when kids start to go to school, find out what's going on. We started to show with racism. How do we become racist? When are we racist? Can we bring that into our consciousness? Consciousness is being aware of what we do subconsciously. And after a lifetime of doing my therapy, I have been able to access my subconscious, superconscious, and my unity conscious. And I've actually gone all the way to God's source, high five, became aware of my essence, my fractal, my partial that resides at the right-hand side of God type of thing. The Christic consciousness, we see everything is separate, but that Christ's consciousness resides within each and every one of us. I'm sorry, I forgot to hit the timer. So I'm going to yield to Karen. Thank you for listening to me. We have about 10 minutes left. So probably one more round, a shorter round each person. I'll make it 4 minutes. Karen, to you.
Okay. I think that's beautiful what you said. I totally agree with you. I think that working on yourself working on ourselves is so important. That's what it's called, I guess, in the therapy work. It can be done many, many ways. And I used to do the conservative way, the conventional way, and did all that. And then I've moved into more of a creative way through sound. And the way I have my little recording studio set up is that I use sound and can go to different voices and different sounds. And I pick the sounds from my background. I've stayed with one sound for a long time because it blends well with my channel and my sound whenever I read the person's electromagnetic field and I take it in there and do the recording. But I probably need to look for some other background music. But anyway, I had a signed agreement with John Seri, who is the father of planetary music, and years ago. And so he's a great composer and musician, and that was back in 2011 where I did my CDs. But now I'm getting into more of a sound of just vibrations that blend with the sound that the person needs for the conditioning in order to learn how to trust themselves. And that's the key, is love and trusting yourself, trusting what you believe. Trusting yourself is an important, unconditional, loving being that you accept and you trust that's you. And that also brings your power, and it brings your ability to reach out and see things that are invisible from a certain amount of consciousness, or that I call it the invisible world. You can call it anything. Where we're going, I think that's where we're going to go. I've seen a lot since these issues have happened nationally. The death of the man that where it happened, and the beautiful sermon with Sharpton was great, but it's gone all over the world. And I think it's great because it's when you listen to the news, these people are really into their feelings, and on some level, on many levels, they're healing. And it's been good, and those energies go out into the universe, go out into the countries through energy and sound and feelings. And I feel like that we as a human race are becoming more empathetic as a populace. So that's all I can say. I know I've been talking about the same thing over and over again, but that's where I am pretty much all the time. So it is about sound. For me, and my contribution as a light worker or a teacher or clinical hypnotherapist or being psychic, whatever you want to call it, is channeling sound and providing unconditional love for the self. And I feel like that's why I've come here. So that's all I have to say, guys. I can pass the baton to TJ.
Well, thank you,
Okay,
beautiful
good.
lady. All right. I like the fact that Janet, Karen, and I have, even though we aren't together, we are together because we're souls. And we seem, if you listen, all three of us have this similar talk of ourselves, our awareness. And I'm sure all of us have done our therapy or been to a therapist or done work on ourselves. That's called your inner work in many arenas for those outside of our spiritual science community. But I've been running a community of metaphysicians, I guess one might say, psychics. I've trained mystics, oracles, psychics, sages, seers, guides, and now I work with guides in the technology field, and I'm happy with that. I'm doing my best to create a community. So if you guys want to join me, great. We're going to be doing webinars and workshops and helping people in the world of metaphysicians and other groups that have been around for years. I could mention names of some of the great leaders that you probably know of that I've been asked to represent them in my area of the country just because I'm strategically located in the Panhandle for different groups. Okay, Edgar Casey for one of them, but they asked me if I wanted to represent this area, which is somebody in the business, and that was a great calling. But I've had the ascension age, and I was one of those things in Hawaii when on my spiritual path where I got that calling, and I got a sign with lightning and thunder on a sunny day that split a tree right next to me. My partner in business said, lucky we had wheels because we would have been electrocuted. It was that close. And that sign, I've had people in graphic design and at the newspaper where I worked in Kentucky try to remake it. They said it's too complicated. Then on my wall, I had 2011, I had my parents were going to die that year, but it's on UFO Digest. So I've got things recorded in time for use in trade. But I just want to say that the ascension age is important to me, and that it does have to do with what Karen's talking about. And later on, we'll get more in detail on sound and vibration. But, that's one thing Tesla mentioned that we should study if we want to learn things. So there's been people that have come to this planet, and I'm so glad that me, Karen, and Janet are here to be of service, and everyone is in service to self and others. So we don't need to split that way in the light worker, truth seeker community, which I coined those words many, 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 many years ago in the beginning. And I've talked about different people, and we're all doing this together, folks. So help us with the cyberspace community. Be a light worker, truth seeker, if you will, a guide for others, and join us. And I have books available on Amazon, as does Janet, and I'm sure Karen, if she doesn't, she's working on one. But Karen, I need to ask you, tonight is my by invitation only for authors for 8 years, and you're here tonight on Friday. Are you an author, or are you thinking about writing us one we can use in workshops? About what you do.
Are you talking to me?
Uh-huh.
Yes, we're talking to you.
Oh, okay. I should have written a book a long time ago. No, I do not. I only have 4 published CDs on Amazon, but I could. I just don't ever have time.
Okay, so you published CD then. That's fine. We're doing an audio book tonight, Karen. So this is the spoken word audio. So this is an oral book report in a manner of speaking on our soul and what happened on the planet, and we invite other people. So Karen, I hope you'll return with us Friday and keep this up with Janet. Janet and I have been doing it 8 years, and we could be dead tomorrow.
I love you guys. I'm enjoying a lot. I hope I'm doing okay.
You're doing wonderful.
You're doing great.
Compatible.
I love your
feeling.
I
have to tell you, we're almost out of time. Hold on, let me stop this. So
we can go a couple of minutes over.
You did. The last time you played music, it bounced. So you got to play a different exit music because that one got flagged. I don't know. It was your song, so we'll do different exit music. But so our website, so my aquarianradio.com, Janet Kira Lessin, JanetKiraLessin.com. Got a bunch of other sites working on it. Schoolofcounseling.org. Karen, what's your website?
Mine is Karen Gresham, KarenGresham.com, KarenGresham.com. That's my website. And that has my email address and how to set up an appointment. And it has my testimonials and all my bio and my press kits in there. So that's where people can go if they're interested in having a session.
So, TJ, we're out of time. Your website, and then please play the exit music. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thank you, Janet and Karen. It's been wonderful with Aquarian Radio in Hawaii. This is our 8th year together. So this was our anniversary with Karen Gresham Nickell, Janet Kira Lessin, and I was your other host, Theresa J Morris. That's Theresa, like there's a Theresa, it's Greek. Theresa J for initial Jeanette Morris, Morris, TheresaJMorris.com. And I've got to ask this